In all of MLB history, every team has had that one iconic franchise player. The Ichiro, the Beltre, the Banks, the guy who was so special to the fans of the team that they will be loved forever. With many teams, the choice is easy. For others, a strong case can be made for multiple players. But with that, here's our totally unscientific, yet totally correct, list of every MLB team's most loved player ever. And what better place to start than with the hit machine himself, Ichiro Suzuki quickly turned any skeptics into believers by winning both AL MVP and Rookie of the Year in his first season. He brought a level of precision and flair that Seattle had never seen, and his presence made Mariners games feel like must-see TV. Whether it was a drag bunt single or a throw from right field that defied physics, Ichiro played like a magician. And yet, in a franchise that also had Ken Griffey Jr., the kid himself, it's Ichiro who stole hearts the most with his silence, focus, and pure contact. From the leadoff spot to the record books, he defined an entire generation. And so did the goofy antics of Adrian Beltre.
Watch, here it comes.
Adrian Beltre was a human highlight reel of personality and power, finally making baseball fun in Texas. He launched 199 home runs for the Rangers, hit over 304 times, and played Gold Glove defense like he was conducting a clinic. But that's not what made him so loved. It was how he did it all with a huge smile on his face. Whether it was slapping away Gatorade baths, faking out runners, or spinning bare hand throws from third base, Adrian turned routine into remarkable. When he reached 3,000 hits in a Rangers uniform, the love in Arlington was overwhelming. He danced, he joked, he mashed, and in return, Rangers fans adored him like no other, only maybe topped by a player who was literally nicknamed Mr. Cub for his dedication to Chicago. Ernie Banks wasn't just the face of the Cubs, he was the heartbeat of Wrigley. With his signature line, "Let's play two," Banks embodied optimism during some of the most title-starved decades in Cubs history. Yet even as the team struggled, Ernie never did. He hit 512 home runs, won back-to-back MVPs, and brought joy to the north side with his smile, swagger, and shortstop brilliance. When the Cubs finally broke their curse in 2016, fans couldn't help but think of Banks. His spirit was there somewhere, woven into the ivy. And while Anthony Rizzo may have picked up the mantle in recent memory as a beloved Cubs leader, Banks was the one that built the ultimate Chicago legacy. Still, when it comes to timeless icons, no team does reverence quite like the New York Yankees.
The news of Gehrig's illness stunned the country. And on July 4th, a huge, sad crowd packed Yankee Stadium to pay tribute to their beloved hero.
In a franchise dripping with legends, Lou Gehrig remains the soul of the Yankees. The Iron Horse played in 2,130 consecutive games, batted .340, and drove in nearly 2,000 runs, all with the quiet humility that became his trademark. His farewell speech in 1939, calling himself the luckiest man on the face of the earth, still sends chills to anyone who loves the game. Gehrig didn't chase the spotlight, it found him, because greatness can't hide. Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera each earned their own place in Yankee hearts, but Gehrig's legacy is the truly immortal one. From the hallowed grounds of Yankee Stadium to the sun-soaked diamonds of San Diego, baseball's most beloved aren't just legends, they're lifers, like Tony Gwynn. A craftsman of the batter's box, Gwynn hit .338 over 20 seasons, all in San Diego, and made striking out seem like a personal insult. Tony could read pitchers like a book and spray hits with surgical precision. In fact, he struck out only 434 times from 1982 to 2001. Padres fans didn't just admire his stats, they connected with his loyalty, humility, and constant smile. Gwynn was one of the rare players who made a struggling franchise feel like a winning place, just by suiting up. He never chased the spotlight, yet it followed him anyway. San Diego may have had stars come and go, but Gwynn was the sun, and the city still revolves around his legacy. Where Gwynn was a recent addition to team contact hitter though, Ted Williams was the club founder. The last man to hit 400 in a season, Williams was more than just a stat line. He was a force. He interrupted his career to serve in 2 wars, came back, and still finished with a .344 batting average and 521 home runs. Red Sox fans respected his edge and loved his excellence. He was intense, yes, but also fiercely devoted to the craft of hitting. David Ortiz might be the most beloved Red Sox of this century, but Teddy Ballgame was the original Boston baseball god. Williams made Fenway sacred, something that the next player did too. just not for only one team, instead the entire league. Jackie Robinson is the most important player in baseball history. When he debuted for the Dodgers in 1947, he didn't just integrate the league, he transformed it. Robinson won Rookie of the Year, an MVP, and led the Dodgers to a World Series title. But his impact can't be measured in numbers. Jackie brought toughness, intelligence, and grace under impossible pressure. He endured taunts, threats, and segregation, and still excelled. Dodger fans never forgot the weight he carried or the way he carried it. As the years passed, Clayton Kershaw has emerged as an equally beloved Dodger, but even he would tell you that Jackie was the one that made it all possible. While Brooklyn and LA revere Jackie equally, the next player represents a city and a legacy just as iconic. Hank Aaron was never flashy. He didn't need to be. He let his bat speak for him, and it roared. Aaron hit 755 home runs, held the all-time home run record for over 3 decades, and still leads in RBIs and total bases. But his grace amid racism and pressure made him respected well beyond Atlanta. Braves fans admired his stoicism, his consistency, and his class, and how he made greatness look routine, like a daily ritual of excellence. He connected generations from Milwaukee to Atlanta, and when he passed in 2021, it felt like all of baseball lost a father figure. Few players carried themselves like Aaron did, but the next man, the pride of St. Louis, came awfully close. Stan Musial didn't just play for the Cardinals, he was the Cardinals. Stan the Man racked up over 3,600 hits, 3 MVPs, and 7 batting titles, all while being universally respected by fans, teammates, and even opponents. His stance was unorthodox, but the results were undeniable. Even after retiring, Musial stayed involved with the team and the community, never chasing headlines, only earning admiration. When you think of Cardinals baseball, you think of that smooth lefty swing and ever-present grin. And as a generational cornerstone, he set the bar, one that the next man, a 2-time MVP himself, tried to chase in Detroit. Miguel Cabrera was more than just a Triple Crown winner. He was a walking thunderstorm of power and personality. Tigers fans watched him terrorize pitchers for nearly 2 decades, compiling over 3,000 hits, 500 home runs, and a smile that made even opposing fans respect him. Cabrera wasn't just dominant, he was joyful. He made first base conversations a highlight reel. And even during 100 lost years in Detroit, fans stayed locked in to see what Miggy would do. His farewell tour was one long-standing ovation, because in a city that values toughness and talent over everything, Cabrera gave them more than enough of both. But if Miggy brought joy most through his swings, then the next player from Pittsburgh brought it through his huge heart. Roberto Clemente was a master of the game on the field, and a hero off of it. Through 18 seasons, he won 4 batting titles, 12 gold gloves, and a World Series MVP. And in right field, his arm was the stuff of legend, daring runners to test him just to punish them with throws that defied physics. Yet, it was Clemente's humanity that made him truly immortal. He was a legendary philanthropist, which tragically was the cause of his downfall. Roberto died in a plane crash delivering aid to earthquake victims in Nicaragua, a final act of selflessness that cemented his legacy in Pittsburgh forever. Clemente's number 21 is more than a number, it's a symbol. And just up the coast, the next icon brought a similar devotion, one streak at a time.
Out of the Yankee dugout, since this is an official game, it has started in as a group. The Yankees left the dugout, gave Cal Ripken an ovation of their own out of respect.
In Baltimore, Cal Ripken Jr. was Superman. Ripken got over 3,000 hits, won 2 MVPs, and helped turn Camden Yards into a shrine. Yet it was his consistency that was the most unmatched. His record-setting 2,632 consecutive games became the gold standard for durability and dedication not just in baseball, but in all of sports. And the Orioles faithful responded to him with unwavering love. When Cal passed Lou Gehrig's consecutive games mark in 1995, the entire stadium stood for over 20 minutes in a standing ovation. That's not just respect, that's adoration. And from one ballpark icon to another, Philadelphia can relate, because they were home to one of the best third basemen the game's ever seen. Mike Schmidt was built like a linebacker, swung like a sledgehammer, and fielded third base like he was born there. With 3 MVPs, 548 home runs, and 10 gold gloves, Schmidt was the prototype for the modern third baseman. And Phillies fans didn't just respect his dominance, they obsessed over it. He anchored the team's first World Series title in 1980, and gave the city a leader who wore the weight of expectations with ease. While Chase Utley captured hearts later with grit and hustle, Schmidt remains the definitive Phillies legend. And just a train ride away in Queens, another baseball icon turned Mets fans' misery into hope. Tom Seaver wasn't just the best player in Mets history, he was the Mets. When he debuted in 1967, the franchise was still seen as a punchline. By 1969, Seaver led them to an improbable World Series title and helped transform lovable losers into champions. He struck out over 3,600 batters, won 3 Cy Youngs, and exuded never-ending poise on the mound. Seaver gave Mets fans pride, something that they were never able to feel prior to his tenure. And while Mike Piazza might be equally loved for electrifying the stadium after 9/11, Seaver is and will always be the soul of the Mets. In the Twin Cities, however, that role belonged instead to a homegrown catcher. Joe Mauer was Minnesota through and through. Born in St. Paul, drafted first overall by the Twins, and later a 6-time All-Star and 3-time batting champ, Mauer completely redefined what a catcher could be. His swing was poetry, and his demeanor, pure Midwest, calm, steady, and humble. Fans watched him grow from local legend to franchise cornerstone. And even as injuries moved him to first base, the devotion never wavered. Kirby Puckett may have delivered the team's most cinematic World Series moment, but Mauer was the steady heartbeat. However, further west, another superstar was carving out an even bigger baseball legacy.
Away center field, drifting out toward right center. Trout at the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch!
To say Mike Trout is a once-in-a-generation talent somehow still underplays his abilities. The 3-time MVP has posted WAR totals that boggle the mind, and made more highlight reel catches per year than most players have in an entire career. But Angels fans embraced him not only because of his numbers, they embraced him because he stuck around. In an era where superstars jumped ship, Trout signed on for life in Anaheim, despite essentially zero playoff success. His loyalty and humility made him a baseball unicorn. And while Shohei Ohtani became a global phenomenon and nearly dethroned him as the Angels fan favorite, Trout remains the foundation of the Angels. Just like in Cincinnati, where another loyal superstar wore red and black like a badge of honor. Joey Votto is a baseball philosopher wrapped in a slugger's body. Known for his wit, weird interviews, and absolute mastery of the strike zone, Votto became the face of the Reds for nearly 2 decades. His blend of dry humor and disciplined hitting made him unique and universally admired. Reds fans loved his quirkiness just as much as his career .412 on-base percentage. And while Johnny Bench may still own the legacy spotlight, Votto gave Cincinnati an emotional heartbeat in the modern era. He never demanded attention, yet he earned it still. And in San Francisco, that understated excellence was echoed by only one man, the Say Hey Kid. With over 3,200 hits, 660 home runs, and a glove that seemed divinely guided, Willie Mays could do everything. And while he is an easy pick as the most loved Giant, the case could easily be made that he is the most loved of all players ever. Fans marveled at his over-the-shoulder catch, his smooth stride, and his endless energy. He made candlesticks shimmer even on foggy nights. Giants fans didn't just admire Mays, they felt lucky to breathe the same air. And while Buster Posey may have revived the team in the 2010s, Mays is the one that made the franchise legendary. In Cleveland though, only one player carried similar reverence, and his name is Bob Feller. Bob Feller was a 17-year-old phenom who somehow found a way to throw in the 100s all the way back in the 1940s. Known as Rapid Robert, he threw gas before radar guns even existed, and likely would have led the league every year in velocity. Feller struck out over 2,500 batters and won 266 games, all while serving 4 years in the Navy during World War II. Guardians fans remember him as the man who gave everything to the team and the country, and if asked upon, probably would have found a way to give more. From a flame-throwing righty to a sweet-swinging third baseman, the next stop is Kansas City, where one player stands far above the rest. George Brett was Kansas City's rock star. He batted .390 in 1980, won 3 batting titles in 3 different decades, and gave Royals fans the fiercest and most loyal leader they could ever ask for. Brett was the heartbeat of Kansas City baseball. From his infamous Pine Tar incident to his 3,154 career hits, fans didn't just admire him, they adored him. Every dive, every fist pump, every scowl was shared in the stands. He bled blue and white, and so did his city. The only player to come close in his impact? None. Brett stands alone. But someone comparable is none other than Carlos Delgado for the Toronto Blue Jays. Carlos Delgado was the face of the Blue Jays in the late 90s and early 2000s, a steady force with a booming bat and heart for his community. He crushed 473 home runs, 336 of them in a Toronto uniform, and consistently led by example. Delgado never demanded attention, but he commanded respect. Through both his play and philanthropy, Blue Jays fans saw him as a symbol of consistency during an otherwise unstable era, making his love for the city incredibly clear, and making their love for him unconditional. It doesn't take power to become universally loved though, because the next player found a way to do it only using blazing speed.
He's having come from behind a 1-0 deficit. Rickey goes, a pitch taken, he's gonna have it, he does! Rickey Henderson, no contest, steals third base, jerks the bag.
Rickey Henderson was baseball's ultimate chaos agent, and Oakland loved him for it. The all-time leader in runs and stolen bases brought swagger, speed, and electricity to every game. Rickey wasn't just good, he was unpredictable. A walk meant a double, and pitchers knew it. Fans adored his confidence, his third-person quotes, and his unmatched impact. He was an A's icon through multiple stints, and his name still echoes in Coliseum concourses. Rickey made baseball exciting, something Milwaukee fans saw in a different form with their lovable slugger. Prince Fielder was joy in cleats. The 275-pound powerhouse once legged out an inside-the-park homer, launched moonshots, and was always good for a highlight or a hug. In 7 seasons with the Brewers, he racked up 230 home runs and 2 All-Star nods. Fans loved his swagger, his bat flips, and his willingness to have fun in a game that often takes itself too seriously. Fielder wasn't just the biggest personality in Milwaukee, he was its beating heart. And his early retirement speech likely tugged at Brewers fans' heartstrings even more than the Rangers. However, in Tampa, an even greater connection was formed with a third baseman who finally brought the Rays to relevance. Evan Longoria was the first true face of the Rays. He burst onto the scene with Rookie of the Year honors, helped lead Tampa to its first World Series, and made clutch plays look routine. His walk-off homer in Game 162 of the 2011 season remains one of the most iconic moments in franchise history. Rays fans respected his leadership, calm demeanor, and commitment to a franchise that many saw as an afterthought. Longoria made Tampa feel major league, just like this next player who made baseball finally matter on another often forgotten MLB team. Todd Helton was the face of the Rockies. With a silky smooth swing and a glove that made Coors Field electric, Helton gave Colorado both stability and stardom. He hit .316 over 17 seasons, racked up over 2,500 hits, and anchored the lineup during the team's first World Series run. Fans adored his loyalty. He never left, never complained, just produced. And he is often cited as the top pick for greatest Rocky ever. Helton was humble, hardworking, and Hall of Fame caliber. And in Denver, that's all anyone ever wanted. But while the next star might not have had Helton's longevity, his impact was even greater. José Fernández was a beacon of joy in a franchise often defined by fire sales. His smile was constant, his energy infectious, and his pitching electric. In just 4 seasons, he struck out over 500 batters, won Rookie of the Year, and became Miami's biggest draw. Fans loved his fire, his flair, and his loyalty. And his tragic death in 2016 at just 24 years old left a hole that still hasn't healed. He wasn't just the Marlins' ace, he was their heart. But in Houston, that role belonged to a completely different kind of cornerstone. Jeff Bagwell brought the power, the beard, and the bat waggle to the Astros, and Houston brought the love in return. He spent his entire 15-year career with the Astros, bashing 449 home runs and winning an MVP in 1994. Bagwell's unique stance, gritty style, and quiet leadership earned him universal respect. He never chased the spotlight, but always showed up when it mattered. Even with Houston's recent rise, Bagwell remains the original icon. And in Chicago, another slugging first baseman left a similarly massive impression. With 2 MVPs, a career .301 average, and nearly 450 home runs, Frank Thomas made Southside baseball must watch. But what made him beloved wasn't just the stats, it was the steadiness and the big hurt that he delivered to any and all baseballs. Through good teams and bad, he stayed loyal. Fans knew what to expect from Frank: power, professionalism, and pride. He embodied the White Sox identity: tough, loud, and unshakably loyal. And in Arizona, that kind of iconography belonged only to one World Series hero. Luis Gonzalez will forever be remembered for one swing, the bloop single that won the 2001 World Series. But his legacy in Arizona is far more than that moment. He hit .336 with 57 home runs that year, and it helped define the young franchise with class. D-backs fans adored his approachability and his dedication to the community. Gonzalez wasn't flashy. He was just everything a fan could want as the face of the franchise. Then add a walk-off World Series win against the big bad Yankees to the resume, and you have a universally loved ball player. It wasn't one moment that made the next ball player universally loved though, because he made it happen one game at a time through 2 decades of incredible baseball. Ryan Mr. National Zimmerman hit countless walk-offs, won a World Series, and stayed on the Nationals through the leanest years and brightest moments. Fans admired his poise, his clutch gene, and his decision to retire a Nat for life. In a city often caught up in politics and turnover, Zimmerman was the constant. He bridged the gap from Montreal's final days to Washington's golden era. Quiet, consistent, and completely beloved is his legacy. But what about the other side of the coin? What happens to all the players unlike Ryan? All the players who, instead of garnering love from their fans, found only hatred. Watch this video on the most hated player for every MLB franchise to see who has really grinded the gears of baseball America.